In foster care, you need to know the three most important people you're going to have to deal with from the system, besides you, obviously, as the resource parent. Hi, I'm Mike. This is my wife, Sherry, and we've adopted three children through foster care. So, Sherry, the caseworker, what's their role?
The caseworker is the main person that you'll be dealing with through the entire duration of foster care. Each child is assigned their own caseworker, which normally starts the minute they come into your home. The person that brings them to your home might not necessarily be the actual caseworker. They might just be, they're caseworkers, but they're not the caseworker for the child. They might just be bringing the child to your house. But you should receive a call, usually within 24 to 48 hours, from the caseworker. They'll introduce themselves. Make sure when they call you that they each have a number, and make sure you get their full name, make sure you get their email, make sure you find out the full name of their supervisor and the full email of their supervisor, because you will need that as you go. So the caseworker's role is to follow the child. They are the go between the foster parent, the parent, and the courts, basically. They make sure that visits are set up. They keep track of what the parents are doing on their end that the court has mandated them to do. They make sure that the children are going to like all their doctor's appointments, that they're doing anything that is required through the court, any testing or any activities or anything like that. And then they also report everything back to the court. They are supposed to keep you in the loop as well as to what's going on, but usually you don't get very much information from them about what happened in court. They give you like a short synopsis, and you don't get all the information from them.
And you find out during the visits when they come to your house. Is that the way it works?
Well, the first, like, say if you have a new child that's just coming into your home, that was just removed from their biological family,
Mm-hmm.
they have, I believe it's 5 days to go to court. So once they go to court, the judge will say how many visits they're allotted a week. Usually it's one, sometimes it's two to three, depending on the situation. And then the caseworker is the one that's responsible for setting that up. Basically, the foster parent doesn't have a say in that. So they set it up with the biological parent when it's convenient for them, when they have transport that can be set up to bring the child. So, what you need to know about that is, again, you don't really have a say. And they will come and pick up the child wherever the child is. So you don't have to worry about like if they're going to be home now, driving them to this visit. You are not responsible to do any of that. And if they try to tell you that you are
Mm.
responsible to do that, you are not. That is not what a foster parent is to do. If you decide that you want to do it to build a relationship with the biological parent, I would say tread lightly, but that is something that you can offer. But if you offer it, you're going to be the one that's going to continuously do it. So that means that you're going to have to plan your life around the visits every single week. And the visits
Right.
may not happen. And then what happens if the visit, doesn't happen, the parent doesn't show, then the caseworker has to get a hold of you to come back and get the child, and then that might mess up your plans.
Mm.
So I would definitely not offer that. I would kind of, see how it is in the beginning, and later on, if you feel that's something that you want to do, then, you can do that. But I would not offer that, and that's not something that is mandated of a foster parent to do.
Yeah, and I would just add something I remember from the caseworkers' visits is when they come to your house, they examine your house. They'll go to the fridge, check, make sure there's milk there. Go up to the kids' room, make sure that's in order. It is an intrusive system.
In New Jersey, they have to once a month come out and physically see everyone in your family.
Mm,
So that's something that you have to make time for. They will try to come like after, work or whatever in that way. But you have to make an appointment with them, and you have to make sure that every single person that lives in the household is there, including the foster child. And they will make sure that your house is clean. They will make sure that you have food. They will check your water temperature. They will check and make sure that you don't
mm-hmm.
have any drugs outside, like, even like prescription medication or over the counter medication. All of that has to be locked away. They're looking for just like cleanliness and things to be safe. Obviously, they don't want you to have like knives in a knife block and on your kitchen counter, just things like that should be, basically, if you get the paperwork in the beginning, and it'll tell you what they look for on your yearly um, evaluation that they do
Yeah,
when the state comes, and you keep your house up to that level, you're fine.
yeah. So
Oh, and they
number,
will check
mhm.
your carbon monoxide detectors and your smoke detectors. They will
Yes,
check all those.
yeah. It's thorough. Make sure it beeps and is working.
And they have a list of questions that they will ask you, the same questions every single month, to see how your answers have changed, if you're having issues with anything that they feel is important on their list. But it's literally the same interview that you do with them. When they come, they say, oh, it'll be a quick visit, it'll be like a half an hour. No, they're here usually for like 2.5 hours.
Yeah. What about the law guardian? Not everybody may think of this right away, but they have a very important role. Go ahead
Every
on that.
child is assigned a law guardian after they have their first court hearing. Now, it's a lot of times something that foster parents don't know about, and they only think that it is for the child. It is not for the child, because
Right.
that law guardian will follow the child literally all the way through, from the beginning of the case to the end of the case. There may be a chance that when you get to the adoption zone, where,
Mm-hmm.
okay, if you need to make a decision whether you want to adopt this child or not, and then everything switches over to like an adoption caseworker, and makes a switch that way, that they may switch the law guardian to someone else. Normally, the law guardian continues to stay. Now, does that mean that you will have the same law guardian all the way through? No, because just like caseworkers, law guardians come and go in different firms. They get
Okay.
promotions within the system, and that's what they're looking for, and then they move up. So, in one of our last adoption, she had the same law guardian from beginning to end, which was great because they follow the case. They're the ones that go to court. If you have anything that you're fighting with DCPMP, that you feel the child needs a service, or, just anything, they will ask the judge for it. They will, make a complaint that your caseworker is not doing their job by offering this to the child, and they're denying it, so that they will fight for that. They are the ones that I have found, at least in my cases, that give you the most information as to what
Okay.
happens in court, and what your rights are, what the child's rights are, what the biological parents' rights are. And you can openly ask them any kind of question that relates to the court case or to the child's case at all, and not be afraid to, like, oh, are they going to tell me, shut up, this isn't your business? No,
Mm,
they will explain everything. um so when I say law guardian, they get assigned at the first court case. You may not hear from the law guardian for maybe a month or two. They are supposed to contact the foster parents in the beginning, but I know, like, there's a lag because,
mm-hmm.
they're they have the court case, and then there's a lag in assigning the case to a law guardian, and then them, making time to either come out or make a phone call to talk to you. But they will send out their representative to you that'll do the same thing that the caseworker's doing, minus like they're not going to check your water temperature or, your
Mm.
what do you call it? Smoke alarms. They're not going to go that extent, but they do go very deep into like your schedule, how you're handling the situation, how the child's handling the situation, if there's anything that you feel that the child may need, if there's anything that you've seen that you feel is alarming. Like, they will ask a lot of questions.
Now, when the parents are going to court, does the law guardian, is it the law guardian who asked you if you want to watch or if you want to go during that time, or that has nothing to do with
They
it?
don't usually want foster parents to come unless there's a situation where you've been fighting for something that the child needs. And when I say that, I mean
Mm.
basically mean like medically, like therapy, or a test or something that you can't get approved through the caseworker and the caseworker supervisor, things like that, where then they would ask you to like come in with all your medical information, show the judge, and testify like, this is why I'm saying I feel this child needs this. This doctor has recommended this. I've put this in front of them this many times. I've gone as far as, up the chain of command, that kind of thing. But usually, unless you have a situation like that, they won't call you into court until you get to the point of almost adoption, where you would do a mediation,
Right. Oh, yeah.
which that's a whole nother episode. But that's also another reason to get involved with the law guardian and build a relationship with them, because they are a
Mm.
good, I call it like a window, because they explain everything. They kind of give you an idea of how court's going. And when I say that, I mean, like, I've talked to law guardians and I've told them, like, okay, be straight with me. Is this child, does you think that this child is going to go back with their biological parents, or do you think this is going the other way and they're going to adoption? Now,
Okay.
most law guardians would be like, I really can't answer that, but I can tell you da 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 da. Parent hasn't
Yeah.
followed this. So like, they won't outright say yes or no, but they just give you the comfortable feeling that, like, okay, look, in actuality, this is it all, on a map here of what's gone on, what's not gone on, and what, if I were the judge, I would be thinking. And 95% of the time, they're right. Especially once you have a case that's gone through a couple of months of a child being in foster care.
Yeah. Now, we never, except for mediation and our adoptions, we never went to those court appearances where the parents had to,
Well,
correct?
I did have to go during COVID.
Okay.
That was kind of a weird situation. We didn't have to participate in a Zoom court hearing,
Mm-hmm.
but because of COVID, I guess, and the caseworkers not really being able to come out as much as what they should have
Mm.
and check your home and make sure everyone's okay and all that, they wanted us to be in the court hearing just on the Zoom, just so they could see us. And they wanted the child there also so that they could see that the child was okay.
Mm-hmm.
But now that COVID's over, now everything's back to normal, where you can go into court and you don't have to go in unless the judge has some reason that they want to talk to you about something. But usually you don't have to go into court.
Now, the third person a lot of people, especially if you haven't fostered yet, really need to know about is someone called the Casa. You can really explain that, Sherry, because you've dealt with them. I really hadn't. So, what's their role?
So the Casa, I have to say, is my absolute favorite person
Mm-hmm.
out of all of this. They are your backbone. They will support you. They will help you find whatever you need for the child. They will fight the doctors to get things done. They will fight the court system, the judge. They'll push the caseworker. They basically will make a case for anything that you feel that you need. that you are unable to make the case, or you just can't push it any further than where you are. CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocate.
Mm-hmm.
They are not paid by the state, by DCP&P, by anyone. That is a volunteer position.
Okay.
So they are taking their time to come and talk to you. Now, they also have to, they have requirements that they have to meet too. So they have to come out also once a month and
Mm.
see you and ask their questions and get an update on the child. Um, I had CASA's two of them that like would literally call me every single week just to check and make sure that we're okay. Is there anything else that you need help with? Do you need any other supports, or is there anything, especially like when it comes up to the next court hearing, they'll call you or come out and want to know, like, what in the future, what are you looking for this child that we can,
Mm-hmm.
start pushing through court, or what happened in the last visit, because we had situations where visits weren't very pretty at all. We were
Mm-hmm.
extremely traumatized. um and then we had issues where mom wasn't showing up for visits, dad wasn't showing up for visits, so we had to get that figured out. And the caseworker kept saying, oh well, we'll just give them a little bit longer to make a consistent effort to come to these visits. And I'm like, no, you're traumatizing the child doing this. Like, you can't put a child in a car that doesn't understand where they're going and what they're doing, and they think that you're taking them away from us,
Mm.
and now they're comfortable and not traumatized, but now you're traumatizing them, putting them in a car and taking them back to DCP&P where the visits take place, which just looking at that building is traumatizing enough.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're forcing them to go into a room with someone that they don't necessarily want to deal with because they're traumatized because of that person.
Right.
So the CASA can also go in to the visits. It has to get
Mm.
um they have to get
Okay.
court approval, but they can go into the visits, and they are also supposed to talk to the biological parents. Not as
Okay.
much as you, as being a foster parent. But they are supposed to contact them, see what they're doing, where they kind of feel like the case is going, what they want out of the case, if they're interested in getting their child back, if they're making an effort to get their child back, basically. But that is also for the child's end. They're not in it for the parents' end at all. Um, and the CASA is not always appointed situation. You
Okay.
have to make a request to the caseworker and the caseworker supervisor. I believe it has to be in writing, but there's like a whole process to it. In our case, we were given a CASA in our last adoption
Mm-hmm.
because our child had siblings that were also in foster care in a different, with a different family.
Right.
So the CASA was put in place instantly for the visits between the siblings to be set up, to be monitored, to bring that into the whole situation, and make sure that
Mm-hmm.
that was followed, make sure that they had contact, make sure that they knew each other, had phone calls, Zooms, play visits, whatever needed to be done. That was the main reason that got a CASA. But you can get a CASA appointed for pretty much any reason. Um, and it's great. Like, I mean, she's the last CASA we had, she would follow me to doctor's appointments and take
Wow.
notes of the doctor's appointments and help me when like I felt like I was overloaded on, oh my god, there's like so much medical stuff going on here, and I have four doctors in front of me and they're just spewing out this stuff of like, where do I start, where do I end, like what do we do, how do we do this, where do we go, like that kind of thing. And she would kind of sit there and just like navigate through the appointment, like, oh, you said that she needs this, so let's write that down, and where is it, and like kind of kept it organized because my head was about to blow up because I didn't know what direction to go. So, in that way, she was very helpful. So, if you do have a child that has medical issues or medical needs and a lot of
Right.
doctor's appointments, I would definitely request a CASA ASAP
Mm,
and talk to them. I mean, not all CASAs are willing to do that, but talk to them and be like, this is why I feel that, you can help us. And, would you make an effort to be able to be not to every appointment, but like, the major ones. When you know that things are going on, or when the child's at the hospital, like she came to visit, she waited for the doctor to come,
mm.
to talk to the doctor. Like she was just great.
Yeah. Now you said you were actually asked to be a Casa. Now, why didn't you do it? Because you could have, right?
Well, it is a volunteer position, and that wouldn't stop me from being a CASA. Um, what kind of made me think about it was because of going to court.
Mm,
Now, obviously, I have to have a job, so that would interfere. Um, but the way that I am about foster care now, having the kind of not so great taste in my mouth going through certain things,
yeah.
um, I would I feel like I would fight too hard for the children, and I would probably get myself kicked out of court. So, I don't think for that reason that it's a good idea for me to kind of step into that role. I mean, I would love to help people and support people and offer the information that I have with all the cases that we've been through. And, get my main thing is to get people to understand you do not have to listen to what the caseworker says. They are not the end all be all. And a lot of people don't understand that. And they think that they just have to go with what DIFUS is telling them. And you don't. You have a voice. You can fight for this child to get what they need. But if I were a CASA, I would fight too hard.
Well, that's great information. Those are what we consider the three most important people you deal with in foster care. See you next.